This is Ava filling in for John. Welcome to Mertech.com's Daily News Update Extra. We are sharing a video snippet that provides no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. I am following this channel and given this video a thumbs up. The link to this video is in the description box below. Please follow Mertech on Rumble. Give me a thumbs up and share this information far and wide. This great news update will begin momentarily. Thank you and may God bless.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announcing nearly 1,500 arrests, reportedly one of the largest operations in the agency's history. Operation Patriot, conducted across Massachusetts throughout the month of May in partnership with the FBI, Customs and Border Protection, ATF, and others, netting 1,461 total arrests of illegal immigrants, 790 with either criminal convictions or charges, and 277 with final orders of removal, meaning an immigration judge had already ordered these people to deport. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons slamming Massachusetts leaders for so-called sanctuary policies preventing local cooperation with federal immigration enforcement.
It really shocks me that officials all over Massachusetts would rather release sex offenders, fentanyl dealers, drug dealers, human traffickers, and child rapists back into the neighborhoods. The brave men and women of ICE, CBP, ATF, DEA, Diplomatic Security Service, and the U.S. Marshals have to go out and pick up some of the most horrible criminals that are roaming free in Massachusetts. These are just some of them. A child sex offender that was previously deported that was released by a local agency but was back living across the street from a playground. A sex trafficker that was arrested for raping a child that was re-released back into the community. A habitual drunk driver who, in the midst of his drunk driving, kidnapped a child. One person that was previously deported that was stealing from disabled senior citizens. Not only that, but they got several convicted murderers, rapists, spouse abusers, child abusers, and drug traffickers.
Acting ICE Field Office Director for Boston, Patricia Hyde, criticizing officials, including Democrat Governor Maura Healey, who has previously rejected claims that Massachusetts is, quote, a sanctuary state. Really? This, despite the Massachusetts Supreme Court ruling in 2017 that state law enforcement cannot keep in custody illegal immigrants who have posted bail, even when ICE has issued a federal immigration detainer. Here's Hyde.
I think it's a matter of semantics, right? We can say we're not a sanctuary state, but when people are arrested for local charges, drug traffickers who are peddling poison in our communities are walking out the door, not turned over to ICE, what does that sound like to all of you? That's sanctuary. When states and local jurisdictions don't cooperate with ICE and they let bad actors walk out into the community, they let child rapists just walk back out, $500 bail, that is sanctuary. So it's fine to say that you're not, but your actions absolutely show something different.
ICE officials also addressing the arrest of 18-year-old Milford, Massachusetts high school student Marcelo Gomez, who was apprehended Saturday while driving his father's car to volleyball practice. The father is also an illegal alien, though was not in the vehicle at the time. School administrators and staff expressing shock, and Governor Healey condemning the arrest. Hyde and Lyons on that situation.
In regard to Marcelo Gomes, he remains in ICE custody. He was not the target of the investigation, but like we have repeatedly said, sanctuary policies put us in a position to go out into communities and look for people. When jurisdictions don't cooperate with ICE and we don't arrest people in custodial arrests, then we must go out into the community. And when we go out into the community and we find others who are unlawfully here, we are going to arrest them.
What is the danger of the 18-year-old to that community?
So I'll put it back on you. What about an 18-year-old who's just stopped for a traffic violation by Mass State Police who's wanted to be a habitual traffic offender on his way to graduation? Would you be asking that same question to the Mass State Police for not arresting him? Like, I didn't say he was dangerous. I said he's in this country legally, and we're not going to walk away from anybody. And I will say, his dad hasn't turned himself in yet, and his dad knows he's the target of it.
At the same briefing, one reporter questioning why ICE agents often cover their faces with masks during arrests. Acting Director Lyons responding forcefully.
A lot of agencies were invited to come out 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles where we ran an operation where ICE officers were doxxed. So let's just say that again. People are out there taking photos of the names, their faces, and posting them online with death threats to their family and themselves. So I'm sorry if people are offended by them wearing masks, but I'm not going to let my officers and agents go out there and put their lives on the line and their family on the line because people don't like what immigration enforcement is. They are wearing those masks because we ran an operation with the Secret Service where we arrested someone that was going online, taking their photos, posting their families, their kids' Instagram, their kids' Facebooks, and targeting them. So let me ask, is that the issue here, that we're just upset about the masks? Or is anyone upset with the fact that ICE officers' families were labeled terrorists?
Boulder, Colorado terror suspect, 45-year-old Mohammed Salman, charged with one federal hate crime and multiple state charges following a targeted attack Sunday on a pro-Israel group gathering in solidarity with the hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. 12 victims in total were injured, at least 2 still hospitalized as of Monday afternoon. The suspect captured on video during the attack shouting, "Free Palestine." According to the affidavit, the suspect stating in an interview with state and local officials, he wanted to, quote, "kill all Zionist people and wished they were all dead." The suspect said he would conduct an attack again, quoting here from the affidavit still. He specifically targeted the Zionist group that had gathered in Boulder, having learned about the group from an online search, end quote. The suspect also stating he carried out the attack because he hated the group and needed to stop the Zionist group from taking over Palestine. More from the affidavit, quote, he stated that he had been planning the attack for a year and was waiting until after his daughter graduated to conduct the attack. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, along with Democrat Governor of Colorado Jared Polis, quickly calling the attack an act of terrorism. Police Chief Stephen Redfern initially declining to do so, instead saying the motive seemed unclear, despite the anti-Semitic comments made by the suspect during the attack. Acting U.S. Attorney Bishop Gruhl asked at a Monday afternoon briefing why the only federal charge does not involve terrorism.
So the question is for the U.S. Attorney's Office about the fact that yesterday terrorism was mentioned and we see a hate crime charge today, and can we explain that?
So we've moved swiftly to charge quickly just to send the message to the community that no acts of anti-Semitism are going to be tolerated and there are severe consequences. Just because there's only one charge that has been made so far doesn't mean that we're not considering other charges that could come in the future.
District Attorney for Boulder, Michael Doherty, outlining the state charges against the suspect.
So there were 16 counts of attempted murder in the first degree. 8 of those counts are for attempted murder with intent and after deliberation. The other 8 counts are attempted murder with extreme indifference. So 16 counts total. If the defendant's convicted and those counts are running consecutive to one another, he would face a maximum of 384 years in state prison. He's also charged with 2 counts of use of an incendiary device. If convicted of those charges and they run consecutive, he would face a maximum sentence of 48 years. He's also charged with 16 other counts of attempted use of an incendiary device. And again, if convicted and if they run consecutive, the maximum on those counts would be 192 years. So 384 years on the attempted murder, 48 on the use of the Molotov cocktails, and then the attempted use would be 192 years. The judge set a $10 million cash-only bond on the state charges.
The suspect is in the country illegally. DHS confirming the Egyptian national entered the U.S. in August 2022 on a B-2 tourist visa that expired in February of 23. The suspect filing for asylum in September 2022. Fox News reporting the suspect was then granted a work permit under the Biden administration that allowed him to stay until just March of this year. And once again, he overstayed. Special Agent Mark McCulloch confirming the suspect was not on the FBI's radar prior to the attack. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Monday slamming the previous administration's immigration policies.
Joe Biden's administration foolishly gave him a tourist visa and that allowed him to unlawfully remain in our country. This individual should have been deported. Instead, he was welcomed here. And now, 3 years later, after coming to this country under Joe Biden's administration, he is lighting Jewish people on fire who were simply trying to peacefully pay respect to the hostages in Israel. The president is going to ensure that this individual is held to the fullest extent of the law. And not just this individual, but any individual, especially illegal criminals who engage in acts of terrorism, will be held accountable under this president.
Coming up, the former Sean Diddy Combs' assistant's jarring account of what she says was the psychological control the mogul had over her, and advice for Combs from an old rival. Next. Fried sheep masa with just sea salt product. Masa is crunchier, and still feeling thousands ready to give masa code MK for 25% off. K to get 25% off. Combs' criminal trial resuming Monday in New York. The alleged victim of Combs, known by the pseudonym Mia, taking the stand, continuing cross-examination from last week. Mia worked for Combs as an assistant and director of development and acquisitions for Revolt Films, owned by Combs. Last week, Mia testifying to a toxic, physically and verbally abusive work environment, saying she was sexually assaulted multiple times by Combs, fearing retaliation if she reported the violence or left the company. Defense attorney Brian Steele continuing cross-examination yesterday, drawing a distinction between Mia's testimony last week and messages she sent to Combs during that same time period and after leaving his employment. Steele showing Mia a March 2019 message to Combs when she no longer worked for him, where Mia wrote she was sending, quote, all the love in the world. Mia testifying to still feeling psychologically under Combs' grip at that time. Steele asking if Mia made any contemporaneous writings to friends or family describing the abuse she was allegedly experiencing from Combs. Mia responding, quote, no, the only time I reached out for help was very subtly to people in the office. The witness testifying that she did not want star witness and Combs' then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, knowing about the alleged sexual assaults, despite Combs often threatening to tell Ventura, she said. Mia saying, quote, he threatened to tell Cassie, quote, unquote, everything, which made me feel like I had done something wrong. I don't know how to explain what that does to a person. On redirect, prosecutor Madison Smizer asking Mia what would happen when Combs thought she was not doing her job. Mia attesting, quote, I would be screamed at, humiliated, made fun of, and my job would be threatened. Smizer questioning Mia about what she worried would happen if she told anyone that Combs sexually assaulted her. The witness responding, quote, that I wouldn't be believed. I would be wiped out. I would be abused, fired, and somehow made out to look like I was a crazy person making everything up. The next witness on the stand, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Sylvia Oken, briefly testifying about some records involving Combs' hotel reservations. The jury seeing bills for various charges, including a $500 charge for oil damage. Former security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel, Eddie Garcia, expected to take the stand later today. Garcia has been granted immunity for his testimony. He was the guard on duty in March of 2016 when security cameras captured Combs dressed only in a towel, knocking Ventura to the floor before violently kicking and dragging her. It is still unclear if Sean Diddy Combs will take the stand in his criminal trial, but the disgraced mogul is getting encouragement to do so from an unlikely source, former Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight. The two have been longtime rivals dating back to the mid-90s when they ran competing record labels on opposite coasts. Knight, now in prison for voluntary manslaughter, speaking to CNN over the phone with this advice for Combs.
He probably was advised not to, but I feel if he do tell his truth, he really would walk. If Puffy go out there and say, hey, I wasn't control of my life at the time, or himself. And he can humanize his own self, and the jury might give him a shot. But if they keep him sitting down, it's like he's scared to face the music.
Defense attorneys are often reluctant to allow their clients to testify, fearing cross-examination could do more harm than good. We'll see in this high-profile case whether Diddy takes the advice of a rival. That'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the Megyn Kelly Show live on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 at noon East. on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly and on all podcast platforms.